Hello. 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 So it's me, and it's this. If you're following these in numerical order, if you're not, follow them in alphabetical order. They'll all begin with the letter P. Right, so I'm going to do some of Canada, and I'm going to start halfway through the Canada chapter. Chapters. I invented the word chapter on this day, the 2nd of January 2023. It's copyrighted. You'll all be wanting to use it tomorrow. You'll have to pay me royalties every time you do. So I'm going to start on, of course, I just remember that for the sake of humour I decided to put no page numbers in my book, in this particular one. So, so it's very hard for me to find my place when I want to read bits to you. Anyway, so Canada, halfway through the Canada chapter, I'm going to start on the bit marked European colonisation. The first known attempt at European colonisation began when Norsemen settled briefly at Lance-o'-Meadows in Newfoundland around 1000 AD. Go and eat those bleepers, said the natives to the bears, and no further European exploration occurred until 1497, when Italian seafarer John Cabot on the Matthew explored and claimed Canada's... Canada's? Dear Mr. Trousseau, I've just renamed your country Canada. Canada? Canada do what? Ian Drury, I was thinking then. Do you know that song? I think it's the last track of the Laughter album. It's a bit naughty. So, any children watching this? But couldn't tell you about Dad to buy you a copy of this. Did you have a nice Christmas, children watching this? If you didn't, and you didn't get the presents you want, next time your daddy's in the shower and you can hear the gentle sounds of the scrotum being shaved, flush the toilet. Where do we get to? We were trying to pronounce the word Canada. Okay. Early in 2023, Paul Murphy renamed Canada Canada. I quite like the sound of that, really. Right, where do we get to? Let's go back just a little bit. Hi there, I'm Paul Murphy. 1497, when Italian seafarer John Cabot on the Matthew explored and claimed Canada's Atlantic coast in the name of King Henry VII of England, which really pissed off the Italian government, for bits that are in the previous part of the chapter that you haven't heard yet. Cabot is reported to have landed only once during the expedition and did not advance... brackets? That's not brackets. Brackets with, what am I trying to say? Quote marks. It's been a long life. Beyond the shooting distance of a crossbow or the length of a bear's arms. Pasqualejo and Day, this is what I get for taking the actual facts from the internet, and then putting comedic spins on them. Or as they say in Canada in response to my comedic. Pasqualigo? Does that sound right to you? Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Pasqualino and Day, centre forward and left back for Atlantic Academicals FC retired, both state that the expedition made no contact with any native people. Although crew found the remains of a fire, a human trail, nets and a wooden tool. They nicked these and put a note down saying the fairies did it. The crew raised the Venetian banners, which greatly pleased the natives when they came home, saying, "Oh goody, toilet roll." After claiming the land for the King of England and leaving behind a puddle of wheat in fair exchange, Cabot yelled, "Everybody aboard the Matthew!" This caused much consternation for Midshipman Matthew Smith, and he hid in the lifeboat until they got home. The natives' next wonderfully pleasant meeting with Europeans occurred in 1534. Starting on May the 10th of that year, James Cartier, a Breton explorer and hat model, explored parts of Newfoundland, areas that now comprise the Canadian Atlantic provinces and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. They comprised them then, of course, but under a different name and higher share price. During one stop at Îles-aux-Oiseaux, Island of Birds, oh dear, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to read that bit, I'm going to go to a different bit. Okay, later that night, the Iroquoians invented graffiti and changed the wording on the first cross to the... Oh, I missed a bit. Cartier's third encounter took place with a party of St. Lawrence Iroquoians on the shores of Gaspé Bay, where on July 24 he planted a cross to claim the land for France. The 10-metre cross bore the words, "Long live the King of France!" The Iroquoians planted a sign next to its head. Well, we'd rather he didn't. Cartier was not to be outdone, and told his crew to immediately plant another sign saying, "Well, he's going to, and don't give me any lip. Remember which one of us has got guns." His crew asked him incredulously, "Immediately?" Cartier planted his own sign, "Yes, just to show them." The crew planted a sign saying, "Effing hell," and began chopping down trees. 3 days later they had immediately planted the 16-metre sign. The Iroquoians, who had been looking over the crew's shoulders and knew what was coming, quickly planted a 20-metre sign that said, "Remember which one of us knows what a Canadian winter feels like, mate." Later that night, the Iroquoians invented graffiti and changed the wording on the first cross to "The King of France has a vile dong," and had a picture of it for good measure. The next morning Cartier was incensed, and in French too. "Quick, you lot, put up another sign saying, 'Long live the King of France,' and add to it, 'and his wonderful togère too,'" he said to his shagged-out crew. "Oh, we cannot," replied his shagged-out crew. "And why not? There's no bloody trees left. We've deforested whatever you're going to call this place, writing all these bloody signs." "Well, write it on paper then, until the trees grow back." "We haven't got any of that either." "Why not?" "We didn't bring any." "Why not again?" Well, let's see. 1, we can't write. 2, we got no one to write to. And 3, well, foo-foo, how are we going to find a postbox around here? "Well, what do we have plenty of?" "Dysentery." Thus it came to pass that later that afternoon the Iroquoians were treated... Thus it came to pass that later that afternoon the Iroquoians retreated to the site of 83 sailors claiming possession of their territory in the name of the French Queen in bum squirts. The change in mood and smell was a clear indication to the Iroquoians that they understood Cartier's actions. Shortly afterwards, Cartier kidnapped the 2 sons of their captain, which was another clear indication of his actions, since he bypassed all the women in the settlement to get to them. Under the condition that they return with European goods to trade, preferably Kim Kardashian autographs, the natives' captain agreed that the hostages could be taken, but not before he had put a mousetrap down their breeches. Cartier returned to France in September 1534, sure that he had reached an Asian land. The twat. After having surgery to remove 2 mousetraps from his dong, Cartier set sail for a second voyage on May the 19th, 1535. "Oh, wonderful," said the last 2 remaining orcs. That's a reference to the bit that I excised. This time his expedition consisted of 3 ships, 110 men, his 2 Iroquoian captives, and a hold full of junk that he had bought at Poundwood as gifts. The mean shit. Reaching the St. Lawrence, he sailed upriver for the first time and reached the Iroquoian, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that word wrong, but anyway, we're going to stick with that, Iroquoian capital of Stadacona, where Chief Donnacona ruled. All the facts in these books, by the way, are, well, facts. If you want to know, if you don't believe me, well, here's proof. Where did we get to? I've forgotten which accents we do this. "Here, aren't you the bloke that chopped all our trees down last year?" Donnacona asks. No, that was my husband," replied Cartier, quickly putting on a women's dress and a wig. "Oh, yummy," said his crew. "Oh dear," said Cartier. "I'd give her a great hawk," said one of his crew, inventing the double entendre. "We could both give her a double entendre," said another, inventing the triple entendre. Cartier left his main ships in harbour close to Stadacona and used his smallest ship to continue on to Hochelaga. Does that sound right to you? Now Montreal, then Hochelaga. But now Montreal. Arriving on October the 2nd, 1535. Hochelaga was far more impressive than the small and squalid village of Stadacona, and a crowd of over 1,000 came to the river edge to greet the Frenchmen, throwing sun-dried poo at them, as was their friendly custom, or so they told them. Several names in and around Montreal and the Hochelaga archipelago can be traced back to him, such as Invading Swine Creek, Ugh, Bloody Garlic Bridge, and Thanks for the Scurvy Mate Cemetery. The expedition could proceed no further, as the river was blocked by rapids and, further up, some slopids. So certain was Cartier that the river was a northwest passage and that the rapids were all that was preventing him from sailing to China, that the Hochelagans could only laugh their bollocks off. After spending 2 days among the people of Hochelaga, Cartier invented the three-point turn and returned to Stadacona on October the 11th. It is not known exactly when he decided to spend the winter of 1535-1536 in Stadacona, but it was probably when he woke up one morning and found all his boats frozen solid in ice. "Ha ha," said the Stadaconans, who had negotiated a sweet parking permit deal. Cartier and his men prepared for the winter by strengthening their fort, stacking firewood, and deciding whose turn it was to wear the woman's dress. Cartier departed for France in May 1536. The last two Grey Hawks finally came out of hiding, whereupon a tree fell on them and killed them. A sad note to end on. A minor, that's a sad note.